All right, so this section is going to be really quick, just about 3 videos, and it's basically an extension or an add-on to the previous section. It's like a bonus pack where rather than just doing some basic loops exercises, I wanted to add in some more substantial things that we can do with loops, but I felt the last section was getting too long. I didn't want to bloat it. So this is its own section, really about 2 mini projects using loops. So the first one is going to be a simple guessing game where the computer picks a random number and you try and guess it, and it will give you hints if you're too high or too low until you finally guess it. And then after that, we're going to make our rock, paper, scissors game a lot more playable, a lot more interesting. So you'll be able to actually play against the computer. It will keep score of who wins, and you can do best 2 out of 3, or first person to hit 5 or 10 or whatever it is. You can set a milestone, and you'll continue to play in a loop with the computer until somebody wins overall. But to start, we're doing the guessing game. So let me show it to you first. If I run my solution, python3 guessing.py, the computer picks a number from 1 to 10, and now it's my turn to guess it. So I'll start with 5. So I was too low, so let's try again. This time let's do 9. Oh, I got it. So let me do one more. By the way, you can see it asks if I want to play again, if I want to keep playing. If I hit Y, it keeps going. So this time, let's guess 5 again. Too high. Let's do 1. I guessed it again. So notice that it tells me too low or too high, depending on if I'm too low or too high. And it also tells me you guessed it, you won. And I can keep playing, and this will keep going forever as long as I type Y. But as soon as I type N, it says thanks for playing, and it quits out. So that's the basic gameplay. This is the starter code. And really the reason I gave you starter code is that we haven't talked about how to do random numbers. Well, we did actually talk about it in the more advanced version of the rock, paper, scissors project. But if you skip that, totally fine. This is how you generate a random number. So we haven't talked about modules or importing really, so I'm not going to go into it. But this is a bit of code we include. It's part of Python, but we don't get it by default out of the box. We have to reach out and say, hey, I want that one piece called random. And then within random, there's a function called randint, and we pass in a start or at the beginning, so a 1, and then a high point, 10, and it will generate numbers from 1 to 10 inclusive, which it drives me insane because ranges are exclusive, but randint is inclusive. So this, every time we call it, will generate a random number, save it to that variable. So then it's up to you to then ask the user for guesses. You'll need to use a loop to continue asking for guesses while they are wrong, while the user has not guessed the random number. And as a bonus, you don't have to do this, but it's good practice to basically keep playing if the user enters Y after the game is over, and to break out, hence you can use break, if they type N. So there's a couple ways of structuring this, but you'll need to use at least one loop and a couple conditionals. All right, so in the next video, we'll go over a solution.